Greetings, everybody. Gus T Renegade, and to share information about racism, what it is, and how it works. Real treat today's program. I could not be more thrilled, more excited, more of an honor to have our guest on today's program. We tried a couple times before to have her on the show. Third time worked out beautifully. Our guest for today's program, former six-term Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Outstanding. Again, real pleasure to have you with us. I'm thrilled that you could take some time to speak with us today. Thank you. Could you share with our listeners just anything about you so they'll get a better understanding of who Cynthia McKinney is?
Gosh, that's something that the media seems to have explored ad infinitum, and also ad nauseum. But I think in terms of introspection, I haven't done enough of that. I think we can always do with a little bit more of understanding who we are. We also need to do that as a country, but I served for 4 years in the Georgia legislature, and then after that I served for 12 years in the Georgia.
Sorry about that.
I served in the U.S. House of Representatives for 12 years. I was targeted by the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and all of the various arms and legs and wings and fingers and toes of the pro-Israel lobby in this country, and they were able to successfully
I think we lost Miss McKinney. We lost Miss McKinney. I'm calling her back now. Technical difficulties, of course. Wouldn't be a show without them. We lost that attack. I don't know what happened.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess we got disconnected.
Right, and when you said attacked, we lost you. How about that? Yeah, but we are back and rolling. Please continue. You were being attacked, you said.
Yeah, so I was expelled from the United States Congress because of my pro-peace, pro-truth positions on a variety of issues, from treatment of the Palestinians to the place of human rights in our foreign policy, to liberation, true liberation for Africans on the continent, of course, true liberation for us Africans here in this country. And so for all of those reasons, plus questioning the veracity of the Bush administration's explanation of what happened on September 11th, and my firm opposition to the war and the erosion of civil liberties, all of that caused Democrats, Republicans to join with the pro-Israel lobby in their initiative to kick me out of Congress. And so I served my last day in Congress in 2007. The Green Party nominated me to run for president under their banner, which I did in 2008. And then in 2009, I undertook a series of human rights expeditions to try and reach Gaza with medical supplies and building supplies and school supplies for children. And I was eventually imprisoned by the Israelis. I mean, all of this is like, you know, this is like an action-packed thriller movie. And so now I'm talking to you.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, incredible life and times of Cynthia McKinney. 2008 Green Party presidential candidate as well. I guess getting most current, you are the author of Haiti 2010, An Unwelcome Katrina Redux. Can you talk about what you found in your research on what's taking place in Haiti right now?
Well, basically, I can imagine that the people whose only source of information is Fox News, CBS, NBC, ABC, and CNN are being deluged literally with, I won't even call it information, with data, but it's not really, the people are not really being given the real accurate information as to why the United States response is being so robust militarily, and yet they've yet to land the doctors, the heavy earth equipment, moving equipment, the first responders, the food and medicine, and at the same time they're turning away countries. This is just like what happened with Katrina. They're turning away the donations from the countries that they don't like. The United States is already doing this, and this is under the direction of President Barack Obama. He's already sent the drones in. What is he sending drones in for? What kind of reconnaissance is going to be done? They say that they are reconnoitering the damage to the infrastructure, but the staff of the drones and Global Hawk are more accustomed to looking for surface-to-air missile batteries and hidden weapons caches rather than wrecked infrastructure. So the choices that the president has made are all, I find them very interesting.
Wow. I know I read your report, and you talked about how President Bush has been appointed to the Haiti relief effort. Can you share your feelings on former President Bush's appointment to the Haiti relief effort?
Well, I put the piece out today, and I think it's appropriate that it would go out on the celebration of the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a true man of peace, deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize. But I actually had begun to write the piece a lot earlier, and I just, when I saw that President Obama had nominated Bush for that position, I was extremely chagrined by the news, and understood that while this might be good for fundraising, it certainly bodes poorly for the people of Haiti, and that's because it was under a Bush presidency, George Herbert Walker Bush, that former President Aristide was ousted the first time, and then under George W. Bush that he was kidnapped from his own country and ousted a second time.
Wow. I'm just curious. You don't feel, I'm just pushing back a little bit, so you don't feel that President Bush is concerned about what's going on for the people and black people in Haiti, and that he's joining the Haiti relief effort to offer these people the help that they need at a time where they are in desperate need of as much help as possible?
Well, I don't speculate on what President Bush's feelings are, or what his thoughts are, or what his motives are. I just look at what he's done in the past, and it's for me a curious choice that he would overlook President Carter, who actually has more experience in the field. His organization certainly has more experience in the field, particularly in countries where there are people of color, than George W. Bush would have.
I know former President Carter, he spoke out publicly and said that he felt a lot of the opposition that President Obama has been facing from white people is because of racism, because he is a non-white person. I asked you before the show, I was curious about your views on President Obama's first year in office, and particularly how white people feel about him. And you said you would answer the question on the show, so here we go.
Well, I think white people feel about President Obama the way that they are expressing in their public conversations about President Obama, and that ranges everywhere from staunch support to staunch anti-support. And I think Harry Reid adequately expressed how he feels about President Obama. He's a light-skinned black man who doesn't speak with a Negro dialect unless he wants to. So I think this demonstrates where white people are on this matter.
Did you think Senator Reid, his comments were accurate?
Well, I think they were a reflection of how the senator felt, and so they were accurate. I presume that he is well spoken enough to represent his views and his values.
Mm-hmm. Right on. I also wanted to, because there's such a strong connection between what's happening right now in Haiti and what took place not that long ago in New Orleans with the whole Hurricane Katrina debacle. You said that you had got information about thousands of prisoners, mostly black males, that had been executed during Hurricane Katrina and the aftermath. Can you share information about that and what you have been informed about that situation?
Yes, I had a mother. This is a situation that really cried out for investigation. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we were in the process of doing that when I was summarily kicked out of Congress by the pro-Israel Democratic and allied Republican forces. Mm. But basically what happened was I received a phone call from a distraught and disgusted parent whose son was charged with the responsibility and of cataloging these bodies. And so it was the mother who called, and she wanted her son to come forward, but he had signed a confidentiality agreement and was hesitant to do so because he didn't know what the repercussions from the government would be. So the mother called me, and then I received subsequent phone calls from several members of the black members of the staff of the Red Cross who confirmed the story that the mother gave me. But as I said, we needed to do more investigation, and we were in the process of doing that when I was defeated in my bid to return to the Congress, and so the investigation ended with me.
Wow. Do you think the reaction to you revealing this information and people being very skeptical and saying, you know, this is absurd, nothing like that could have happened in this great land, do you think a lot of that response was because the victims in this story are alleged to be black people?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your question, but is it something about the disparate treatment because the victims were black? Of course, you know, the Red Cross didn't even want to spend the money. I am chagrined that people might even consider giving to the Red Cross with respect to Haiti when the Red Cross didn't even take care of the people in Katrina.
Wow. Wow. I know, as I said, as you said, the life and times of Cynthia McKinney, so many things. Not that long ago, you yourself experiencing mistreatment in your effort to take aid to Gaza. You were detained, inmate number 88794. I read your letter that you wrote while you were detained, and you said it was incredibly black, the prison where you were detained. Can you talk about that for our listeners?
Yes. I tried to get into Gaza 3 times, and I was successful in only one attempt. The first time I tried to go to Gaza, I was in a boat, a Free Gaza Movement boat, and the Israeli military, while we were in international waters, the Israeli military rammed the boat and completely destroyed it and left us there to die in the middle of the sea. But thank goodness Lebanon the Lebanese military agreed to rescue us. The second time I tried to get to Gaza in the Free Gaza boat, we were kidnapped in international waters and taken to Israel, where I served 7 days in prison. And that's when I wrote the letter from the Israeli prison.
Wow. In your letter, you said that there were just lots of Ethiopian immigrants who were detained. Can you talk about what's happening with the Ethiopian immigrants that are being detained in Israel?
Well, yes. As I said in the letter, it was amazingly populated with people of color, mostly Africans and Filipinos who had come to what they considered to be the Holy Land, and they ended up running afoul of Israeli law, largely because they were Christians. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you. Yeah, largely because they were Christians. And Israel just really, Israel is a Jewish state, so you can't be the wrong religion and expect to get equal or fair treatment. You don't get equal treatment.
Do you think the mistreatment that the Ethiopian immigrants experience there, do you think a lot of that is because they're not white?
Well, I think they experience not only discrimination because of religion, but also because of color as well. And as a result of the publicity that Israel received from the comments of me and another black member of the Free Gaza 21 who were in prison. He was from the United Kingdom, and he immediately put out an essay talking about the number of people of color, Africans, that he saw in the prison. And, of course, he was on the male side. I was on the female side, same thing. And Israel began to look at itself. As a result of that, there were several articles that were written in Haaretz newspaper, sort of acknowledging that they do have a color problem. But you can't expect them to treat Africans any better than they treat the Palestinians.
Mm. Wow. I definitely wanted to make sure that I asked because the last time you were scheduled to be on the program, you unfortunately experienced a loss in your family, and you wrote about this. If you get Cynthia McKinney's newsletter, you can go to cynthiarun.org and sign up, and you can get the newsletter. But you wrote about your loss, Aunt Hazel, and you talked about the mistreatment that she experienced. Can you share a little bit about that with our listeners, please?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Dr. Vanelia Randall.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also had read in 2005 the study that was done by Dr. David Satcher that found that over 83,000 blacks die in the United States for no other reason than the disparate quality of care that they receive from the medical institutions in this country. That's not a question of access or whether or not you have health insurance. It's a question of the difference in treatment that blacks receive after they walk into a doctor's office. They don't get the pain medication. They don't get the appropriate medication. They don't get the appropriate surgery. They don't, whatever it is that is normally prescribed for whites. In fact, when blacks encounter the medical institutions, it's very much like when they encounter the criminal justice institutions.
Wow.
And we know what happens there. And it has resulted in, according to Dr. David Satcher's report, over 83,000 blacks dying every year for no other reason than the color of their skin. And that's exactly, I've gone around the country preaching this for the last, since Dr. Satcher wrote that, but for about the last, 10 years, I've been talking about disparities on various levels that exist within our society, racial disparities. And now my aunt ends up becoming a victim of one.
Wow. I definitely, I hope people will get your newsletter to read the piece that you put together after your aunt passed. Very powerful and very informative. I felt that would resonate for a lot of people because just a lot of the black people that I know have very poor health and lots of family members with poor health because of racism. I definitely wanted to ask you, this program, the C.O.W.S, Context of White Supremacy, I have unfortunately concluded that we are in a world system dominated by racism, white supremacy. I define racism, white supremacy as a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white. Do you believe that such a system exists, and do you think that definition is accurate?
Well, it's a very interesting definition, and certainly if we look at what's happening in Haiti right now, I think one of the things that you would have to add, as I point out in my essay, is that there are black accomplices to this white supremacy. And we certainly need to point that out. As at the same time, we also have white allies who are cognizant of this structure of white supremacy and who choose to ally themselves with us.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely see a lot of, well, really, I think all non-white people in some way participate in maintaining the structure. As victims, though, I think that's the most accurate term. I myself, a victim of racism, white supremacy. I know you had short time. I wanted to see, we had one person who called in. They can get a question in before we wrap up. 803, if you have a question for Cynthia McKinney, go right ahead.
Gus, hey, this is Thomas. How you doing, Mr. Kenny? How you doing this evening?
Hi.
Yeah, my question to you, kind of touching on, like you said, the accomplices that we have in supporting this white supremacist global network. Out of all of the non-white groups, why is it, do you think, that blacks particularly, when they get into positions of authority, I know I know your story and your causes, and you definitely have put community first. But if you look at the Hispanics, you look at Asians, you look at people of Indian descent, blacks have a tendency not to stay true to community more so than any other. Because, like I said, I'm originally from the Bronx, so you go to the Bronx, and there's, someone who's Hispanic who's in office, a congressman like Serrano. He really does do everything he can for his constituents. Why do you think, for instance, the Congressional does not do more?
The question was, why do I think that's the case, that blacks tend to stray away?
Yeah, like the Congressional Black Caucus in particular.
Well, I would say that the representation is as good as the people demand. And so if we as black people protected the people better who served us, I recall, in 2002 when I was targeted by AIPAC for the first time, I wasn't the only one who went down that year. Earl Hilliard was from Alabama, was targeted. Now, Earl Hilliard was targeted, and me as well. We were targeted because we care about black people, and we care about all people, and we wanted human rights to be the cornerstone of the way the United States treated its people at home and abroad, and we were targeted for that. But when the people who wanted to get me out of office chose a black woman the first time and a black man the second time to run against me, these black people went and voted for them. They accepted, what outsiders deemed was best for black people. So, if we embrace people who have been picked by people outside of our community, then we kind of, then we should expect that that's what we're going to get.
Again, 2008 Green Party presidential candidate Cynthia McKinney. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday to speak with us. I definitely want people to go dignity.ning.com. You can check out Cynthia McKinney's latest report, Haiti 2010, an unwelcome Katrina redux. It is at dignity.ning.com. Also, make sure you check runcynthiarun.org. You can get on the mailing list, and if you have not seen the documentary film American Blackout, please check it out. Very informative. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us. We appreciate it. If you have anything you'd like to tell our listeners before you sign off, please go right ahead.
Well, I look forward to coming back on your show and maybe, doing some more regular interviews. We had a rough go going, but the third time was a charm, and so let's keep it up.
That is a plan. That is a plan. I would love to have you back. We'll definitely keep reading. And, hopefully we'll get a whole lot of folks to come join dignity.ning.com to keep up with your efforts. Thank you so much, and continue your productive work. We appreciate everything that you do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
C.O.W.S, Context of White Supremacy, live with Cynthia McKinney. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Is racism hurting you? On issues of race, are you unable to speak, think, and act with clarity and confidence? Are you tired of laughing when nothing is funny, smiling when you are not happy, agreeing when you really disagree? At counterracism.com, you can learn specific strategies and techniques to counter the behaviors of the people who practice racism in all areas of activity, using words correctly, following counter-racist logic, even counter-racist science projects designed to reveal what racism is, how it works, and how to counter it. The open source code writing format allows you to pick and choose from a variety of counter-racist suggestions so you can produce the code that works for you. Stop by counterracism.com today and help replace racism with justice.
That's counter-racism.com.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Hollop, a.k.a. Mr. Holipsis, a.k.a. the Buzz Killer. Tune in to Holipsism's Haven every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we discuss the social, economic, and political issues of the day with a common-sense approach, an African-centered perspective, and a universal sensibility. Call-in number 347-843-4874. That's 347-843-4874. To check out related YouTube videos, blogs, and show archives, visit www.holipsism.com. That's www.holipsism.com. I'm making it hard to get your Negro on. Hotep, Black Power.
There's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T Renegade was able to get in 30 minutes with Cynthia McKinney. Had thought we were going to get a little more time, but she, very busy woman, someone else contacted her, so she couldn't stay as long as I would have liked, and I'm sure you all too. But I am a member of dignity.ning.com, so she was already aware of the show when I contacted her, and I am definitely going to take her up on the offer of seeing if we can get her as a regular guest on the C.O.W.S. That would be pretty fly. I would enjoy chatting it up with her about various things, see her view on different aspects of racism, white supremacy. We have a caller on the line. I guess before I go to the caller, I again wanted to make sure I support, since I have been since I've been accused of not being a good teammate, I will make sure I support another victim of white supremacy who is attempting to do constructive work. Hakima, she has called the program several times before. She is doing her first counter-racist program here at Blog Talk Radio. It will be on skin whitening creams. This program is going to be on January 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific. The dangers of skin whitening cream. First program for Hakima. Make sure you go support. Should be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it myself, so make sure you support her efforts. Hakima right here at Blog Talk Radio. We had someone called in. Anybody, if you want to call in to share your views on what you heard or anything else, feel free to do so. Someone called in at 111. 111, are you there? Yes, we can hear you.
I just want to ask what racism has Obama actually been through, except with the Harry Reid comments, because it sounds to me like you're saying that Obama has been through a lot of crap, just like if he would have been president in the 1960s, which I've seen impossible, but can you tell me what racism other than the Harry Reid comments has Obama actually been through?
Are you a white person or a non-white person?
I'm a non-white person, sir.
Okay. The first part of your question, you asked me what racism has Obama been through other than the Senator Harry Reid comment. I just saw in the newspaper where an effigy was hung of President Obama in former President Jimmy Carter's hometown. A white woman was just on the program and said she felt that was an explicit act of racism that is reserved for black people, black males in particular. So that would be one. Former President Jimmy Carter himself came out on national television and said that he felt a lot of the opposition, public opposition, that President Obama has been experiencing with people carrying guns at town hall meetings and all the other behavior that went on during, I guess that was the summer of 2009, that was racism, white supremacy, white people being upset. Hang on, I'm talking, I didn't interrupt you. White people going out, being upset and mistreating someone because they're not white. I remember during the campaign, before he was even inaugurated, there were white people who were calling him Curious George, and they had T-shirts and everything referencing him as a monkey. This is the stuff of legend. White people have been doing this for hundreds of years, saying that black people are monkeys. I could give a long list of incidents where President Obama, the evidence would suggest strongly he is being mistreated because he's not white. A long list. Do you need any more?
Well, okay. I didn't know about the Harry Reid comments. I didn't know about the monkey thing in 2008.
And there's more. I can even give you more. Hang on 1 second. I can give you some more. There was a cartoon during the early There was a cartoon, the early portion of 2009, where a monkey was shot and killed based on a true event that did happen. But they, in the cartoon, made the monkey President Obama. Lots of white people wrote publicly they felt this was an act of racism, and it again shows white people referencing non-white people, particularly black people, as monkeys. There's tons of this stuff. All you have to do is read the paper, and I will admit freely, I don't even do a good job of reading the paper every day, which is a huge no-no for someone who hosts a talk radio program. But someone who admits to being haphazard at keeping up with the news, I could rattle off tons of these sorts of things where it seems very likely, in fact, it seems most likely, the most logical conclusion you would draw is that he's being mistreated because he's not white. So there are tons of these.
But also, is this racism coming more from the north or more from the south? Because even though that cartoon was from New York, where is most of the racism really coming from?
Again, admitting that I'm someone who haphazardly follows these reports, I saw a report in November, and if you press me on it, I can get the information, where they showed a map of this area of the world, and there were incidents everywhere. There were effigies hung in college campuses in Oregon. I just told you there was one that was reported in Georgia. There have been incidents everywhere. It has not been localized to any specific region. White people, in fact, there was a white person in the country known as Germany who, when President Obama was elected, he said, "We will now call the White House Uncle Obama's cabin." This was in the newspaper. So it's not even just restricted to the so-called north or south of the United States. It is white people around the world are making racist remarks and mistreating him because he's a non-white person. That's what I've observed, sir. We had one other person that called in. You're still on the line, 111. We just had somebody else that called in, so I wanted to get their comment or question. 951, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am. Greetings, victims.
Greetings, back of the bus. How are you doing, sir?
Well as can be. I was listening to the question asked and answered. I just wanted to chime in. I also stumbled across an incident on the news that revealed Obama's offices. I'm forgetting the specific city where this happened, but his offices were vandalized and racial slurs were painted everywhere. And like yourself, Gus, I dug a little deeper, and I realized that this wasn't a specific incident. Like, this happened in many cities across the United States. Obama's campaigning headquarters and cities were vandalized, and racial slurs were sprayed around the premises.
I also wanted to make sure that I threw in, again, as a haphazard follower of the newspaper, I do know that it has been reported more than once that there has been a 400% increase in the number of death threats that President Obama has experienced in comparison to George Bush. He has experienced more death threats than any president we have ever had of the United States of America. And I believe, as Jimmy Carter stated, that is racism, white supremacy.
For sure.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to get at is this just most white people in general, or is it just some white people?
What do you think? Do you want to do that one back of the bus? Would you like to share your view on that one first?
Well, how would you know if it's most white people or if it's some, primarily? And, yeah, that's just what I'd say. I mean, at which point do you know that these white people do support Barack Obama and these white people don't? I suspect white people could wear an Obama pin and whatnot, but I mean, they could still mistreat him.
I'm confused in that.
Well, I want to share my view, sir, and then you can ask your question. And I want to say, get this out real quick. I'm confused too, sir. I'm just trying to work my way through it as best I can, but I am confused too. My view on your question, I believe you asked, is it most white people? Is it some white people? My view, I do not know all of the white people who practice racism. I don't have a list that I could give you, and I don't even really have a criterion to say, well, you know, here's the list. These are the 10 things that you're looking for. If they do these 10 things, they're racist. I couldn't even give you that. What I can say, the same thing that I said to Cynthia McKinney, I have concluded that we're in a global system dominated by racism, white supremacy, worldwide. That's why what's happening in Haiti right now, that's why things look that way. What happened in Katrina, that's why things look that way. The 400% increase in death threats against President Obama, all of that, in my view, connecting the dots is because we're in a system of racism, white supremacy. So I don't know who all the white people are, but I certainly think it's got to be a lot of white people for it to be worldwide and in all areas of people activity, education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war. White supremacy dominates all areas of people activity, every spot on the planet. So if that's the case, it's got to be a lot of white people. It can't just be 5 or 12 people in Klan suits in Alabama. It just can't be. It's got to be lots and lots of white people. And real important, we got to keep in mind, it's not lots of white people on the planet. They're only about 10% of the population. So that right there would make me think, maybe it's got to be a high percentage of them. Since it's not that many white people, it's got to be a high percentage of them. But that's just my logic. I could be incorrect. As I said at the very beginning, I don't know all of the white people who practice racism, but I suspect it's got to be a good number of them. Are you there, 111?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. I thought you were gonna say something else.
I am done. That is my response. I wanted to make sure I gave a thorough explanation.
Well, I have to agree with you on. Wait, hold on. Mom? I'm just trying to see where you are.
Anyone else want to call in?
That was that.
Oh, I was just giving the number, 347-215-6071 if you want to call, share your view, the cows. I apologize, sir. Please continue.
Well, I mean, I really have to agree with you on some things, but I didn't know it was like a whole system like it was in the 50s and 60s and the 70s when Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. And I mean, the majority of white people did not want to be with black people, did not want to be in the same room as them or to be in the same schools. But, you know, we fought for that right for years and years, and I thought things were changing, but I guess it seems like we're still in a system of white supremacy. I mean, it's just kind of confusing to me because it seemed like things were going fine, man. I mean, the economy's kind of blown over, but I mean, race-wise, I thought things were going better. I mean...
Do you feel that white people have mistreated you because you're not white?
Once. I actually feel more mistreatment from black people, man.
Okay. Well, that makes sense in a system of white supremacy. I am in Seattle, Washington, and in the state of Washington, they don't have a lot of black people. That is no coincidence. I came here to get away from black people. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, where there are a lot of black people.
That's where I live right now.
Oh, okay.
I live right now.
Hey, bud, I know exactly how you feel. Black people mistreating you all the time. I know all about Atlanta. Bankhead, College Park. I've been to Vine City, Westlake. I know all about Atlanta.
So you went to Westlake? Westlake High School?
I did. Thank God I did not go to Westlake High School, but I've been in the area.
I went there, dude. I went there for 1 year. I never went back there, bro.
What did you experience at Westlake High School?
Always getting jumped.
By black people?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had some friends, though. I had, like, some Asian and this one white girl, but I had some black friends. I have a lot of black friends, actually, but, like, they just still test me, though.
Can you relate to his experiences of being in areas with large concentrations of black people?
Yes, I can, unfortunately. I'm from the West Coast, and I don't think there's near as many black people on the West Coast as there is on the East Coast. But unfortunately, there's enough to get jumped by some black people. I've also been jumped and had to get my way out of situations regarding black people directly. But like you said, that makes perfect sense in the system of white supremacy. I mean, there's examples.
Well, also, I mean, it's not just that. It's not just the black people. It's actually the Africans, too. I don't feel comfortable around a lot of Africans either.
You said you don't want to be around a lot of Africans, or?
Not just African Americans, but Africans, too.
Oh, okay, Africans, too. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean.
Rwanda.
Unfortunately, I have just concluded in the system of white supremacy, everyone, white people and non-white people, is conditioned to mistreat non-white people. So you just have to expect that as a non-white person that you're going to be mistreated regardless of whether you're around white people or non-white people. That I've just seen that seems to be an unfortunate truth of the system of white supremacy. I could be incorrect.
I mean, I don't see a system of white supremacy do how blacks treat blacks. I don't see a connection with the white supremacy movement to how blacks treat other blacks. That's what I don't see right there. That's what I'm kind of confused about.
Okay.
Now, you don't think I'm foolish or anything, do you? I'm just trying to get my opinion, and that's it.
No, not at all. I will be very honest. When you first called in, you sounded like another person that has called before who, in my view, is looking to argue and things of that nature and not have respectful dialogue. You are not that person. You seem like you just have questions, and questions are great. I'm all about questions. That's what we do here, ask questions. you said you don't see the connection between the way black people behave, conduct themselves with one another, and a system of white supremacy. Was that your question, or what you said? That was it?
And to back up my question, look at the 50s and the 60s, blacks stood together, and it got along. But as soon as rap comes in and everything else comes in, crack and gangs, I mean, we just fall apart. I mean, you think since we've been through so much discrimination, you think things were better, but things gotten worse.
Okay. You said crack and gangs and rap. Okay. Just that right there. White people have written books that talk about how white people used crack to harm black people, specifically how white people used drugs to help end the so-called civil rights movement where black people were working against racism. There are white people who've written books saying that, yes, other white people, powerful white people, used drugs to stop black people from working against racism, white supremacy. That's number one. With rap, there are white people who have written books that talk about how other white people dominate the so-called hip-hop industry and use the music that these black artists make to harm black people. People have talked about this and studied this. If you do any research in terms of who owns the distribution, who owns the rights to the songs and publishing of these artists, the trail invariably goes to white people. If you listen to the program I did on Tupac Shakur, you have a white person who did a whole book about how Tupac's life and death is all about the system of white supremacy. Whole program. You can go back. It's in the archives for October. But if we're in a system of racism, white supremacy, which I have concluded that we are, I have concluded it makes logical sense. If white people can control the music that their victims listen to, and if they can get that music to be dysfunctional, illogical, and it can condition the victims to think that mistreating people, mistreating black people is cool, and that's tough, and that's the thing to do, and the way you talk about black people, calling them dog and all this other sort of cursing, a lot of profanity, vulgar language, that this is cool, this is the thing to do, that works well to maintaining your system, because you'll have very stupid acting people to control, and it's real easy to dominate stupid people, real easy. And I'm saying there's a lot of evidence that shows white people control everything you just listed. Crack, gangs, rap, and white people have written books saying that this is true.
Well, so you know there's a lot of white children listen to rap also, right?
Well, I mean, they control it. I mean, that needs to be factored in too. You know, that right there is suspicious. In a system of white supremacy, why would white people want to listen to black people making songs saying nigger and hoe, and why would white people want to listen to that? Why would white people be drawn? I'm sorry?
Was it younger generation or older generation?
Any white person in a system of white supremacy, why would they be drawn to listen to this music? That would be a great question. And you could look at it historically. Is this something white people have done before? Yes. They always go and listen to black music, whether it's Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, Jimi Hendrix. They have always listened to black artists. Nina Simone. Matter of fact, white people tend to be the most informed about black. I said a white person wrote that book on Tupac Shakur's life and death. White people tend to be real informed about black artists, really about their victims, period. Do you think that's true, Back of the Bus?
I do believe that is accurate. The movie Collateral is an excellent example of that, where Tom Cruise pretty much puts a black male's life on answering a question about Duke Ellington correctly. And the black male answers the question and he thinks he got it correct. But the white man, he shoots him and he says the correct answer after the fact. But I do believe that white people know more about us, non-whites in general.
That's pretty sad.
It is. It's pitiful, isn't it?
Our situation is very sad, sir, caller from Atlanta. Our situation is horrific in my view. I mean, look at Haiti. I mean, I'm sorry?
Even in 2010?
I mean, I don't want to make you feel bad. If you said white people, you've only felt mistreated by white people once. So I don't want to convince you of something that's not true. I spent a lot of time researching before I came to this conclusion. But in my view, things are terrible. I mean, the fact that Katrina happened in 2005, Cynthia McKinney talked about all... I'm sorry?
That was racist. Hurricane Katrina, that was racist.
Okay. The fact that happened, you're saying, blatant example of racism and the way those people were mistreated, they did not get the help that they needed. All of the things that happened, and I did a whole program on that. You can go, courtesy of Back of the Bus, Mr. A.C. Thompson, and he talked about white vigilantes who went out and killed at least 11 black males and were blatantly racist. He has videos when and investigated. But that this happened in 2005, non-white people saw this all over the world, and 4 years later, about 4 years later, we're in the exact same spot of watching a horrible tragedy happen to black people and being helpless and mad because white people didn't help us. We should take a look at that. All the outrage, Kanye West going on television, George Bush doesn't care about black people, yum, yum, yum. We did not take any steps to correct that problem of, hey, if something happens, a major disaster to a large group of black people, we will not get help. Let's make sure this never happens again. In 5 years, we couldn't even do that. We're sitting here watching Katrina play out all over again and doing the exact same thing. They don't care about us. We should fuck these white people, no good, doing the exact same thing. To me, that shows just how pitiful we are.
So you're saying they're not helping Haiti either?
I would say look at the evidence. I mean, you had a white person, Pat Robertson, on national television saying the people in Haiti deserve this. He said they made a pact with the devil and they deserve this. A white man, suspected racist, said this on national television just a couple days ago. I believe Cynthia McKinney, who was on the program, her whole report, Haiti 2010, an unwelcome Katrina redux, she's saying white people, powerful white people, are blocking them from getting aid. That's what she's saying in her report. But I would encourage you, do your own research, do your own reading, see, what you find out about what's going on down there. Be informed. Don't be a haphazard newsreader like me. Be informed, because that might not be true. But I have heard other people saying they're not getting help. They're not getting help. I don't know how you feel about President Bush. Former President Bush has been appointed to the Haiti relief effort. I don't know if that makes you feel good for black people in Haiti.
I also want to say something else about the whole Haiti situation. C.O.W.S. actually said yesterday that he thinks that this is just a plan for America to take over the country and make it their 51st state to take ownership of the entire country of Haiti. You can look at that's what C.O.W.S. said.
That's interesting.
I'm sorry?
I said that's interesting. I think he's a victim of racism too.
Yeah, I believe it too, actually. I mean, I think it's just so they can make it the 51st state or something.
I guess the only thing I would clarify, I don't know what he said. I didn't see his quote. 803, I'm about to put you on the line as well, but I didn't see his quote. But the only thing I would say is that you said that Mr. Chavez said America is going to take Haiti or make it another state. I would say that America is not going to do anything. It's going to be people at the end of the day who do something to that area. And people that I suspect will be white and most likely racist. 803, you're on the line if you had a question or view.
Yeah, what you were saying as far as powerful white people basically blocking things, I believe that would be that same group that you were talking about yesterday, the Fellowship, who the C Street lobby, the people who are the ones who are very right-wing, white, Christian, conservative, who feel like they were put in power because God so-called loves are strong. The guy wrote the book about it, Jeff Shartley, I think is what his name is, called The Family. And that's and that's the same people who've been telling people in Uganda to support killing homosexuals there in Uganda. God saying support it might be the same people who are trying to block aid, like Senator Sam Brown back and some of the cronies. They all lived in this house in D.C. There's an expose. It's a very secret organization that they didn't want anyone to know that they existed, but they all lived in this house in Washington D.C. called the C Street Lobby. So it's probably those guys.
I did not say Fellowship. I know The Family. Jane Elliott mentioned that book. I didn't mention that book.
Okay.
I'm referencing people doing something incorrect. On this program, 10 times out of 9, I'm talking about white people who practice racism. That's who I'm saying is responsible for blocking aid, or if someone's being mistreated in Uganda. The white people who practice racism, white supremacy, are most to blame for anything that happens incorrect in the known universe that I'm saying is dominated by white supremacy. That's what I always make an effort to say on this program. I know I do not use the terms right-wing, Christian. I don't use any of those terms. I even pointed out when the gentleman from Atlanta called in and said America is doing something to Haiti. I just wanted to clarify. I don't say that. I don't think that's accurate. It's ultimately people that are going to do something. And if it's people making major decisions on this planet, those people I suspect are racist white supremacists. But I could be incorrect. I don't know. Back of the bus. Did you have a view on that?
I was just thinking in my mind as well. What Cynthia McKinney highlighted earlier on the program, and it seems to be white people are and have taken total control of the region of Haiti. Anything that comes in by airplane, by water, it seems that they've got it on lockdown pretty much. So nothing happens without their go, unfortunately. But yep.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting you mentioned Katrina earlier, and I mean black people complaining and saying all kinds of them white people don't care about us, ask them this, ask them that. I was looking at pictures of Katrina and what's going on in Haiti, and you just see white people helping when they want to. I mean, they're wearing top hats. They got all kinds of tools. They're just solving problems. And it's pitiful because, as black people, we just sit there helplessly. And I'm thinking all of this contrasted in a time where we have a black male in the White House, still a victim of racism, and one of the most popular films of all time, Medea. I don't know of all time, but I know recently, where you have a black male donning a dress and acting out a female's part. I think ties in part to demonstrate that because of the system of white supremacy, we are not productive. Can't do much. Can't get much accomplished.
I agree wholeheartedly with back of the bus. We I agree all the way through. This is I did go to school. I'm going to use a big word for once. I try to stay away from these. I agree with him. I'll take the double entendre on we are not productive because he said he was talking about Medea in Atlanta, and I think that is very much anti-sexual behavior when you have encouraging black males to engage in feminine behavior, wearing dresses and things like that, trying to be a female. I think that is very unproductive, and it is engaging in anti-sexual, homosexual behavior, which is doesn't lead to reproductivity. So I say it's not productive on a lot of levels, in my view. But yeah, No more silliness. We'll go to 402 there as well. Do you have any comments on what Back of the Bus shared, or anybody else, any other views that you've heard on the program? 402.
Oh, no, actually I just called in, so I just caught part of what Back of the Bus was saying. I was just basically calling in to listen to learn. So I have nothing to add, if that's okay.
That cool in the gang, no problem.
Okay, if I do have something to add, I'll raise my hand, sir.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for supporting the program. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Back of the Bus, though. We engage in a lot of silly, very unproductive behaviors. And I think a lot of that is compounded by our lack of understanding of being in a system of white supremacy. I think if we had a better understanding, I think we would try, or at least attempt, to be more productive with what we're doing. Hopefully working against racism, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think, 803?
I would agree with that. I talked to someone and to kind of, the Precious movie. I talked to a lot of people, non-white people about that movie, and it is unfathomable how some people can see that there was any sort of triumph in that movie. It was like they just didn't get it. Like, I spoke to several people, and they felt that, because, she was able to maybe get away from her mother, and she may have been able to learn how to read, that she triumphed somehow. So if that's the best we can do, then I'm sorry. I think we got a long way to go, baby. There's some people who say, well, she actually learned how to read. And I'll say, yeah, but she's overweight. She's got HIV. She's got 2 children, one of which has Down syndrome. Do you think that was a success story? At the end, find out she's got AIDS, and barely she might be able to read the back of a milk carton. It was just, and we are one of the only racist people that will show that type of depiction of ourselves, and then gives the white supremacist racist reason to say they're nothing but beasts.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was snickering. I had muted myself, but I was laughing at your commentary about Precious, and that's the state of Black people 2010. We are elated to learn how to read. That's what we are in 2010. Which I think is pathetic. That just shows the pitiful state that we're in under the system of white supremacy. I wanted to point out, this is why I said I hate the chat room. I hate the chat room. The only reason I opened it today was because I thought there was interference. So I opened it just to see if the program was being heard. If I could close it, the chat room would be closed. I hate the chat room. Someone in the chat room was saying, and I shouldn't even be looking. I just click. I'm closing it as soon as I finish. Someone in the chat room said, it's easy to come here on Blog Talk Radio and point out many problems in the Black society. And you people are going at it big time. What are you doing to bring people together to grow the Black community, both socially and economically? That was the first part, and then I'll read the second part. I'll respond to that. Number one, I do not come here on Blog Talk Radio to point out the problems of the Black society, quote unquote. I come here to share information on racism, white supremacy, what it is, and how it works. I've done over 70 programs, and if you look at the archives, that's what you will see. This is an anomaly in a lot of ways because I normally don't even have Black people on the show. I generally have white people sharing information about racism, white supremacy. That's what I normally do with this show. If you look at the last, yesterday it was myself and another guest doing a show, but if you look at the last time I actually had an interview with a guest, white person. Time before that, 2 white people. That's what we normally do. In terms of, what are you doing to bring people together to grow the Black community, both socially and economically? My view is what I'm doing to bring Black people together. I am working to replace white supremacy with justice. Doing that will allow for the existence of a black community that can prosper socially and economically. As long as we have a system of white supremacy, what you call the black community will not grow socially and or economically. We will continue to rejoice at Precious, where you see an obese black woman learn to read. That's what we'll continue to do. Or it'll be Haiti. It'll be Katrina this time, Haiti this time, whatever other spot where black people are in misery next time. That's what we'll continue to see as long as you have a system of white supremacy. Number two, he said this same person, there's never been a president that didn't have a threat on his life. There are people assigned to handle that and that come with the turf. I guess he meant the threats comes with the turf in terms of that comes with the job of being president. I think the point of talking about the threats on President Obama's life was that there has been a 400% increase in the threats on the life of President Obama. That's way significant to say that President Obama is facing more death threats than any president in the history of this area of the world is way significant to racism, white supremacy, and how it destroys black people's ability to prosper. Even in the Oval Office, this is what he is encountering because he is not white. Even former President Carter came out publicly and said that's what's happening. So that's my view on those two comments. I'm closing the chat room. Whatever else you have to say, I won't see it. But I do want to say, if you have a question for Gus, email it to me because I generally don't keep my eye on the chat room. I've already shared my views on what I feel about the chat room. Send me an email, untiljustice@gmail.com. I will answer your question. I'll do it on the show. If you shoot me an email, I will answer your question on the show, guaranteed. But I will not be checking the chat room, and I hopefully won't have it back open until I get my MacBook Pro with the carrying case. Anyone on the line, did you have a view on what the gentleman in the chat room shared, or if I said anything ignorant, incorrect?
No, you didn't say anything incorrect, and in fact, some of these people are unfortunate. I think that they, being that they are victims, if I think the one person, Brother K, if I'm not mistaken, he may be a non-white person who is basically very confused and unsure of what's going on, within this racist white supremacist global network that we have, and he may think just because he may have a couple of dollars in his 401k that it can't vanish tomorrow, or his job is secure. Or, I don't know, maybe he's in a different place. But in any event, very very interesting comments for those two people. And 15 retired. I'm not sure. Don't know too much about them. I see them on several different shows, but this is a place for honest dialogue, and I don't know why anyone would discourage that, but in any event.
My comment would be, if you don't think there's a system of racism, white supremacy, that we're making all this up, there are thousands of shows. I'm sure you can find one that would be more to your liking, other than hanging out in this one and just, disagreeing with everything that we have to say. If you don't think racism, white supremacy exists, I'm just curious about why you're here at all. 402 has a hand up now. Did you want to share anything?
I just want to state, because I'm watching the chat room, and for the record, I think Mr. 50 stated that we're all victims of racism. Okay. What is your definition of racism? I mean, you're saying we're all victims. I would say that we're not all victims. I would say that non-white people are the only victims of white supremacy racism. It is impossible for people of color to be racist against other people. Let's get that straight. It is impossible for people of color, classified as black, brown, red, or yellow, to be racist against white people, because two things cannot occupy the same space. Okay, let's get that straight. Why are we saying racism, white supremacy? Because white supremacy is a system set up by white people who believe that the entire universe should be dominated by people who classify themselves as white. and that all of the people that they classify as non-white will be subject to them and harmed by them for their satisfaction in all the areas of people's activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Forever. Now, I use the definition Neely Fuller Jr. used because I think that is a very accurate definition. So some of us as non-white people don't believe that. We don't believe racism exists, or we believe racism exists in a small little vacuum. It gets in a little box, and it only shows its face in certain periods of time, certain ways. For instance, for example, some of us as black people, non-white people classify ourselves as black or African American or Negro. We think the only races that they see is the Aryan Nation or the skinheads or the Klan. No, that's just what I consider one form of white supremacy racism. The highest form and most powerful system is not even shown by those gentlemen. They use deception and they use lie. Who's an example that I can use that is a white supremacist racist? If you listen to Gus's shows, like he stated, you will find who these white people are. Tim Wise is one. Is this Infrey Water, or I can't think of the older lady that always stutters that you had an interview with.
Beryl Winfrey?
Winfrey. And there's other ones. And they admit that they're white supremacist racists. So this is not something made up. This gentleman here that hosts this show is sharing constructive information for all of us to learn from. And he talks to a majority of white people who say they are white supremacist racists. So this ain't something made up. These ain't Klan members. These are everyday working people that are in certain positions in this society. So I just want to get that straight because there's always this confusion, and we're not talking about prejudice either. That is a confusing term. Prejudice means to prejudge before the fact. White people are not prejudiced of black people. That is the biggest lie told on television, movies, and in the press.
James.
Yes, sir.
There's someone in the chat room. Can you address this? No one should call themselves victim anyway, even if they are. I don't understand how that's logical. Why is it that certain groups can call themselves a victim, namely, say, the Jews, or when the Japanese were bombed? Why is it okay for anyone else to claim victimhood, except for the people who have been victimized the most?
Okay, then no one should claim themselves as victims. Now let's look at it. And notice what he said in that sentence. No one should call themselves victims. Okay, what do you call a person that gets shot by another person? Is the person that had received the bullet, are they victims? The person that's left in a fire and gets burned up, are they a victim? So be very careful when you say no one should be called a victim, because what do you mean? So if anybody is in harm's way of another human being or of the weather, they are victims. So nobody can be called a victim? That's very dangerous. Words are very important. What are you saying? There's always victims. There's a victim of rape. There's a victim of murder. There's a victim of some type of violence. There are victims of weather. So they're victims. So we have to be very careful because that's confusing. I don't understand that. There are victims.
The thing I wanted to point out, I'm not upset with the individuals in the chat room specifically. Like, I don't know who these people are. I generally am not in the chat room hanging out, keeping an eye on everything that's being typed. I closed my chat room window when I said I was going to, so I haven't seen anything else that's been written. The thing that I don't like is that I consistently see, like with what's happening today, where people don't agree with my views on racism, white supremacy, which is fine. I have people on the show all the time that I don't agree with. The issue that I have is to come to a program specifically designed to talk about racism and to say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't say that, I don't think this is correct, I don't think President Obama is facing racism. The problem I have is that I suspect the gentlemen, the people in the chat room, I don't know if they're males or females, I suspect, and I could be inaccurate, they don't spend a lot of time studying racism. I could be wrong. They might, sit around and spend hours reading Dr. Welsing or Tim Wise or Harriet Washington or anybody else who talks about racism, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They could spend all of their time reading about racism. I suspect that that's not the case. When I go and hear other people engaging in dialogue about a specific subject that I don't spend a lot of time studying, I listen. I don't do a lot of talking, and I definitely don't tell those people how they should discuss a topic that I don't spend a lot of time studying. I'm telling you, I devote as much of my time and energy as possible to studying racism. When the terms that are used on this program that you hear the callers using, myself using, if you look at the descriptions for the program, I pay close attention to words. Victim of racism, that's the host name for the show. I thought about that. All of the terms that are being used here have been thought about, which is the case with anyone who's having dialogue on a subject that they're an expert on. They're very knowledgeable about the terms that they use. I don't think you all, I could be wrong, but I don't think you all spend that much time thinking about racism, and in particular thinking about the terms that you use when you talk about racism. So I don't have a problem with you disagreeing, but I think there should be a lot more listening and asking questions about things that you're doing. Why do you say that you're a victim? Why are you using that term? Get an understanding of what's happening here as opposed to just attacking immediately. Or I won't even say attacking, but just disagreeing and certainly saying you shouldn't say victim. You shouldn't call yourself a victim of racism. We're all victims of racism. I would definitely, if you don't study racism a lot, I would definitely ask some questions about that, because that's what I do. Even though I study racism a lot, I ask a lot of questions. Back of the bus, did you have any comments on, I guess, what you've heard from the chat room or anything else that's been said?
No, I don't. I think you addressed that very well, and it highlights the deficiency that I've experienced myself first and foremost, or in myself first and foremost, and in non-white people, is that we don't ask questions. We do not ask questions. But not much else to share.
James, Thomas, did you all have any comments, I guess, on what else, what you've heard or have observed with the chat room?
This is James. I can look at the chat room, and there has to be, like you said, there's not enough time spent researching and studying it. Now, I may not spend all day as much as you do as the host of this show. However, I believe that when we come to the show, you have to look at what the show says. What is the show? What is the title of the show? The host. It specifically states victim of racism. If you're not a victim of racism, white supremacy, then this is not the show for you. If you don't believe that global system actually exists, then this is not the show for you. This is just not the show for people who don't believe that. And that's not being mean. It's not being disrespectful. Not attacking anyone, because it's a waste of energy to attack another non-white person. And I suspect the gentlemen that are in there are non-white. So I'm not attacking you. I'm just stating this is for people who study it and who actually believe that this system exists and have proof that the system exists in all the 9 areas of people's activity. So, it's very hard for people to prove that it doesn't exist, because at the end of the day, no matter how much we on this phone, no matter how much we agree, and nobody can refute this, no matter what, the white people are still in charge. At the end of the day, I don't care where you are, the white man is still in charge, period. and nobody can prove otherwise. And that's all I have to say.
Someone called in at 111, putting you on the line as well. Yeah, I don't really feel this is constructive to, I closed my chat room and now I'm still being engaged in dialogue indirectly with the chat room. So I don't think this is constructive. The folks in the chat room, if you don't believe we're in a system of racism or you feel that we're saying things that are inaccurate, feel free to check out another program or what have you, but I just don't think it's constructive to, and I understand people do that. It's talk radio. People will go just to argue. A lot of people enjoy doing that sort of thing, but I'm not going to engage in that. Moving forward constructively. 111, did you have a question or comment view that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm Chad again. I'm back in the show. I was talking to the host earlier.
Oh, right on, sir. Glad to hear you.
Yes, Chad. We both for the same Atlanta. There is a system of white supremacy, but I believe it's just the white people who are in charge who are the ones that's racist. But I don't think, if you see an average white person walk down the street, I don't think every one of those average white persons are, in fact, racist, even though maybe it is a lot of them who are, but I don't think it's the majority of them who are. I believe it was the majority of them 50 to 40 years ago, but I believe in my aspect that maybe 35 to 40% of white people are racist. That's my belief.
Okay. What do you mean when you say racist?
What do I mean when I mean racist?
Yes. What do you mean when you say racist?
Give you a job. You can't go to a certain college. Things like Hurricane Katrina, things like you get lynched, stuff like the old Southern crap that happened 50 years ago, the whole Texas thing that happened with James Byrd in 98. They still lynch black people in Mississippi. That's a fact. But okay. So that's my question.
Okay. I have another question, but I want to point this out for our listeners. The gentleman on the call, and this is just an observation. This is just an observation. The gentleman on the call, he said what he means when he says racism is things like the incident with George Byrd, saying that you can't eat at this restaurant. He named examples of racism, white supremacy. I'm pointing that out as important because examples aren't necessarily a definition of what a word means. And I have concluded that having a specific definition is very important, much more precise than just listing examples of racism. And I'm just pointing out the care that goes into words. I have an exact definition of racism, white supremacy that I use every program. You'll hear it. I said it today with Cynthia McKinney. Every program I give that definition, and most of the people who've been on the show have agreed with that definition of racism, white supremacy. But the caller, Chad, I wanted to ask you, because you were giving specific numbers in terms of percentages of white people that you think are racist or are not racist. How do you determine if a white person is racist?
If they look at you funny, or if they treat you a certain way, just stuff like that.
If they look at you funny, or if they treat you a certain way.
Treat you a certain way, or they don't give you a job over a white person.
No job. Okay. So you have determined, your way of determining if a white person is racist is to judge by the way that they look at you, the way that they treat you, whether or not they choose to give you a job over a white person or not. I have concluded, the amount of time and energy that I study racism and white supremacy, I have concluded white people are extraordinarily deceptive, and that white people who practice racism can look at you nice, they can smile, they can hug you, they can kiss you, and still be racist. They can give you a job, they can give you a house, they can vote you into the White House, they can give you a lot of money, and still be racist, which is what makes them so dangerous. That's what I have concluded. So do you think it's possible that a white person could treat you very, very nicely and still be racist?
Well, not exactly, but sometimes that can happen.
Okay.
This question is a yes or no. Or do you think it's possible for a white person to treat a non-white person nicely and still be racist?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's true, how are you able to judge if this white person is still racist even though they're being nice? How are you able to judge?
I guess you really can't judge if they're racist or not.
Okay. Whoever that was, just hang on one second. I've come to the same conclusion. As long as I've been studying racism, I can't pick out who the people are who are racist either. I think I said that a little while ago, that I don't have a sheet that I can give anyone to say, this is the checklist so you can determine whether or not a person is racist. I don't even have the ability to do that at this point. That's why I say at this point, the most logical thing is to be suspicious that if that person is white, they probably are a racist. At minimum, they could be, if they are white. They could be a racist because we are in a system that is dominated by racism, white supremacy, and at this point, I am being mistreated by that system. It would be in my best interest to be suspicious because I just can't pick out who is and who's not racist. So until I get better at picking them out, I got to be suspicious. And anybody who understands racism, white supremacy should be honest about that, even if it's a white person. And we've had a ton of white people actually on this program who said what I just said makes logical sense. Did someone else have comments that they wanted to share on that? I heard someone.
Yeah, this is Thomas. Yeah, I wanted to respond to Chad. One thing that Gus does, and he's very careful and he's very precise. He always says, suspected racist white supremacists, and until the evidence proves otherwise, that's the way, unfortunately, that you have to approach them. And I can only give you, I can only give you, untold countless examples of situations where you can be treated well, even given a promotion, for instance, at a company, and then if you wanted to get another promotion, that same person who promoted you, who may be suspected white supremacist, may do something to impede your progress because it doesn't suit their agenda. That's why you always have to approach them with a level of caution. And unfortunately, one of the things about blogs, I'll go to some of these shows when they're conservatives, and if you heard the things that come out of their mouth, because in a lot of cases they may not be able to detect, what my race is. They don't know if I'm non-white or not because my name is Thomas Nelson. They're very candid. They're very candid. If you go in some of these chat rooms, the vile things that they say when they think no one's listening because we don't have an interest, because in their minds we don't have the intellectual heft or capacity to understand such glorious definitions that they throw around, the words they throw around like conservatism or being an anarchist or all these things. And when you hear the things that come out of their mouths, it is absolutely astounding. And so you should always be suspicious of any one of them, even the one who promoted you into a position.
I muted my man Chad from Atlanta because I was getting distortion. But did anybody else want to comment back with Chad about what he said? 717, you're on the line as well.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is Brother Kag.
Greetings, sir. How are you?
Yes, I'm one of the strangers in the chat room.
Okay.
Oh, and it wasn't. I guess just like 50 and retired. I don't think, and I can speak on his behalf too. I believe that we're not in there criticizing the host or criticizing the show. I didn't want you to take it that way. I know I'm not. But I'm just sensing a thing of paranoia for some reason. It's not, you know, when here we are celebrating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, and he didn't march to stop racism. He marched to stop discrimination, and there's a difference. I might have a position that I'm going for, whatever, but I can get that position if I work hard for it and keep fighting for it. It has nothing to do with discrimination. Someone can discriminate. Someone can be a racist against me all they want, but it's when you discriminate against me is when I have the problem. You see, it's not illegal to be a racist. The illegal part comes in is when you take that racist view and then start to discriminate. You know, I think about Spud Webb. I'm sure you heard of him, the basketball.
Okay, hang on 1 second. We're going to slow this down right here. I did not see what you typed in the chat room, so I believe I said it's nothing personal. I don't know you. I didn't see what you wrote in the chat room, so I have no idea what you said.
All right, I just want, but the first thing. Hang
on. We need to slow this down, though.
Okay, I'm slowing down, but I guess the first thing that I want.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Now you said it is about discrimination. You said this was real key. Martin Luther King was not fighting against racism. He was fighting against discrimination. Now
I didn't say fighting against racism.
Hang on.
But I'm correcting what you said.
Hang on. The major problem with all of this is the two terms racism and discrimination. Now, I have not used the term discrimination on this program. It's not listed. I don't think you will see that word.
I did. I know you did.
I know. And I'm pointing. This is important, sir. You are not going to see that word anywhere on this program or on my blog. The term that I use is racism, white supremacy, and the definition for that term that I use every program is a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white. That's what I mean when I say racism or white supremacy. I do not mean that white people have ideas about black people or think bad things about black people. When I say racism, I mean mistreatment because a person or persons are not white. That's what I mean, and that is way incorrect, and I believe that is exactly what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was fighting for and died for. I did a whole program with a white man who said this person, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was executed because of racism, white supremacy, not discrimination. Very important. The same thing that I said before.
Okay, but if I can...
Hang on. This is important. This is exactly why I said I don't like what happens in the chat room, because I am very specific with the words and definitions that I use, and then people come, which I don't have a problem with, but they come and they're throwing terms around. We got to slow everything down and get precise about words. That is what I have concluded is one of the major reasons why this problem has not been solved.
Okay, I get that part, but what I was saying was...
Okay, well, wait a minute. If you get that part, you would really stop and think about what you're saying.
Okay, I've already thought about what I was saying.
Wait a minute. I have the power of the mute button here, sir. I can stop you if I want to.
I understand that.
Okay, so hang on. What I'm saying is this program is not about white people thinking bad about non-white people. This program is about a system that is designed to mistreat individuals who are not white worldwide in all areas of people activity. That's what I mean when I say racism on this program. Do you understand that?
I understand that, But you would never know because you had cut me off.
No, because what you said did not in any way relate to what I do on this program.
It couldn't have because you had cut me off.
Wait a minute. Discrimination. I'm sorry?
I did not get a chance to finish what I was trying to say.
Right. I stopped you because you were going with Spud Webb. I don't know what that has to do with racism, white supremacy. I will let you finish. But I did listen very carefully to what you said at first. Martin Luther King Jr. was fighting discrimination. I don't know what you mean when you say discrimination. You said that was mistreatment and racism is having ideas or what have you. As I said, I don't use that term discrimination. I use the term racism, and when I say racism, I mean mistreatment because the person or persons are not white. That's what I mean. It sounds like you don't have the same definition for the term racism. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. That's something that you need to be very aware of, that I do not have the same meaning that you do for the term racism. So every time you hear racism on this program, it doesn't have the same meaning that you're using for the word. That is huge. That is huge. You can't talk to, at least on this program, you can't throw that term racism around as if everybody has the same definition of racism.
Based on a couple of sentences that I said, and you never let me finish.
Because what I
heard, judge me based on a couple of things that I said.
What I heard you say, sir, did not in any way connect with what I talk about on this program.
But I think it would have been more better. I think it would have been a little bit better if you would have let me finish. Then
finish your statement. Finish your statement and let's see, sir.
Okay. What I was trying to say, and again, maybe like somebody typed in the chat room, this show, maybe it's not for me or whatever. And I guess I don't know if this is a show where you're allowed to share your opinion, and it doesn't matter if someone's right or wrong. It's just the idea that that's an opinion, and everybody respect one another's opinion. I can't judge you or knock you, and I would like that same respect. I'm not your judge. You're not my judge. But what I was saying
this program generally is not set up for that. But
But what I was trying to say, was the simple fact when I mentioned Spud Webb. Okay, I don't know if you knew him. He was a basketball player, stood 5'6".
Yeah.
He was in a slam dunking contest with people that was 6'5", 6'8", 7 feet. And in order to win that contest, he knew that he had to work harder and jump higher. We as blacks, does racism exist? Yes, it exists in this country. And what it is that it does not mean that we cannot make it. We just have to work. Until the system is changed, we got to work a little bit harder. We got to jump a little bit higher, plain and simple. But I'm just one. I just refuse, and maybe I got the program wrong, but I refuse to walk around claiming myself as a victim when, it's just like Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I'm not a victim. I'm making it. And I got to work harder.
Hang on right there.
I got to work harder.
Hang on right there, sir. Hang on right there, because I want to just break down what you just said before we get too far. Now, the Spud Webb part. Everything that you said about having to work harder because you're a black person, you have to work twice as hard. Do you know who John? Wait a minute. Do you know who John Henry is?
John Henry?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us who John Henry is.
When John Henry born, I guess he was born a slave, basically, and he's the one that helped build the railroads.
Okay. Do you know anything else about John Henry?
That's basically my knowledge of John Henry that I can remember. I haven't read up on John Henry in years.
Okay. To my knowledge, what you just said is not inaccurate, but there's more to the story. I was told by a white person, continuing, John Henry ended up being in a contest to drive railroad stakes into the ground. He was competing against a machine of some sort. And in an effort to keep up with the machine and driving the spikes in the ground, his heart exploded and he died. White people, very informed white people, have made a medical term for the behavior that you just described of black people working twice as hard as white people to accomplish things. What they have termed that is John Henryism. White people have put forward a theory that the reason so many black people suffer from hypertension, high blood pressure, and cardiovascular disease is because they are having to work twice as hard to do things as white people in a system dominated by racism, white supremacy, which you call discrimination against people who are not white. This is what white people have said. One of them, Dr. Nancy Krieger, she is a doctor at Harvard University. She was on this program November 1st, and she thoroughly explained exactly what I just said. That's what this program is set up for, to give out constructive information about racism, white supremacy, so that non-white people will be much more informed and will not think, hey, it's logical. It's okay if I just work twice as hard like Spud Webb. I can do everything. I'll just work twice as hard. No, that is unhealthy. Wait a minute. Hang on. Wait a minute. Thank you. I'm muting you for a little bit just so that you can listen. I can finish my point, and then I'll let you continue, sir. As the white woman, Dr. Nancy Krieger, the doctor at Harvard, I want you to let that resonate for a second. Not Gus T Renegade, not some Negro off the street. Dr. Nancy Krieger, a doctor from Harvard University and a white woman, came on this program and said what you just said. Medical doctors are looking at that and saying this could be the reason that epidemic numbers of black people in this area of the world suffer from hypertension. What you just said, that is not a healthy response to racism, white supremacy. That is killing a lot of us way too early. It is a problem. That way of thinking is unhealthful and illogical. It needs to really be thought about. I'm going to put you back on so you can finish your thought, sir. You're on, 717.
Okay. Well, it seems to me, and again, I'm a person, I don't have high blood pressure. I am a person of color. I am black, or as they say on your show, non-white. And I think that what it boils down to, all white people are not bad. All white people are not racist. And my thing is, I stay around the positives. I don't stay around people that are negative. And when I stay around good people, they help you, whether it's in real estate, investment, or whatever you decide to do. You get around some good people, you're going to make it. You have a good attitude, you're going to make it. A racist is a racist. I don't care what color they are. There are some good white people out there that will work with you and help you as you go along in life. They are all not like that.
Okay. Why are you listening to this program?
Okay, they're all not like that. I'm not going to go through life thinking, oh,
to this program?
And he's, huh?
Why are you listening? Wait a minute. I just want to get this question answered.
I know something about this.
Wait a minute. I'm hearing 2 or 3 people.
Okay. Why are you listening to this program?
I listen to basically. I used to come to this room as a guest. I do like the idea that the host of the show, and it was somebody else that was talking too. The fact that you guys communicate very well, which I don't hear on a lot of shows like this. The communication's great. And there are people that, for some reason or whatever, they look at it, and I can admit that, they look at it, I've seen people on your show, left your show looking at this racist thing from a different perspective when they left your show. But I'm just saying me, and again, I'm not your judge. I have full respect for you. I'm not going to judge you. Who's anybody's judge? But it's just that I'm just staking my claim that me personally, I don't cry victim. I don't say I am one. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It does exist. But I just don't I don't put myself around people like that. And that they're all not. There are a lot of people that come away from the show treating all white people like that, and that's not right. That's not fair because all aren't. There are a lot of good white people and good black people. There's good in everybody. And you just have to get around those that have goals, that want to do something in life, and they want to get somewhere in life, and they help you, you help them. And that's in every color. There are some blacks that I will not be around. There are some whites that I will not be around. Racism is racism. Okay, and yes, it exists, but where a lot of blacks or a lot of people make mistake is they do walk around thinking it doesn't exist, and I'm not going to deny that, but I'm just saying I can't. What I can't do is say all white people are bad, and I don't have this paranoia thinking that they all are.
Okay. I'm going to see what other folks have to say because I feel like I've chatted a lot, but I do want to make sure this is very clear. I have never, ever on this program said all white people are racist, white supremacists. I have never said that. Now, several white people have come on this program and have said that is true. Tim Wise has said that. Farrell Winfrey has said that. I believe Molly Secor said that as well, and all three of them are admitted racists. But I have never said that, nor have I ever told anyone that you should think of all white people as racist. What I said today and what I have said consistently is that you should be suspicious because, as Chad and Atlanta evidence, it's very difficult to tell if a white person is or is not racist. But as me and you even agree, we do have racism, so it's got to be somebody practicing it. I'm opening everybody back up, and you all can share your thoughts on what you've heard with the caller. Please keep the background noise down, though, the speakers and everything, so that we don't have distortion in the line. Everybody is on.
Well, I do apologize if I sounded kind of blunt or disrespectful to you. It wasn't to disrespect you at all.
No problem at all. I did not take offense.
I just hope, I just want to make sure I clear that. But, somebody put in the chat room, well, 80% of them are, racist, basically, or white supremacists, and I don't believe that. Maybe 80% of what you know, but 80% of the whites that I know aren't supremacists. I just don't put myself around those type of people.
That's great. The folks that are, and I didn't mean that facetiously. That's great. The people that are on the line, did you all have thoughts?
I have a question for Brother K.
Mm-hmm.
Brother K.
Yeah.
I have a question. So how do you feel about interracial dating or marriage?
My wife is white. My first wife was black. My second wife is white.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And that's how I feel about it. As a Christian, my Bible tells me that marriage is honorable in all things.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't purposely go out and look for a white wife or a black wife or a Chinese. That's who I fell in love with.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. That clarifies things. Thank you very much, sir.
Indeed.
That clarifies a lot. Thank you.
What does it clarify?
White people.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll get closer. When non-white people challenging the thought that white supremacy, racism, if it even sounds like we're saying all, because none of us really said all white people are. Now, I will clarify that. I'm James 365. I've never said all white people are. But as it was stated when the host was asking Chad questions, how can you tell? Because you can't tell.
Okay, who can't tell?
Huh?
No, you can't tell. In other words, someone had said that they didn't say all. They said that 80% of whites are racist, and I thought, me personally, I said, well, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Someone said also that when I said my first wife was black, well, the wife I'm married to now is white. The comment that was made was that figures, and I'm thinking, where did that come from? What do you mean by that figures?
Well, the reason why that person in the chat room said what they said is because usually the non-white people who are involved with someone who is classified as white become very, very defensive. It's like they have to defend their spouse or defend their girlfriend or boyfriend or husband
who is classified as white.
Right. And you know something?
Seems like it sounds like we're attacking white people. We're not attacking white people.
So you are correct. A majority of people that I know, and especially black men that are married to white women, they get offended all of a sudden, and that is very high in the black marrying white community. But I don't share that view. That is not me. I've been this way even when I was married to someone that was black. I've always been this way, and I just felt that there's bad in people, there are good in people, and it's not to defend. You know, my wife is strong enough to defend herself, but and you're right, it is a high majority of it that I know of that is known to be a fact. And again, if it's 80% of black men that are married to white women are that way, I'm one of the 20% that's not. Okay? I'm one of the 20% that's not.
Okay, sir.
That's when he said that figures. No.
Okay. Well, I was just clarifying for you.
Mm-hmm.
Gus?
Is everyone done, or?
Yeah, I was finished. I was finished.
Is the guest that called in by the last name, is it Brother or Mr. K?
I'm Brother K.
Brother K. Is your wife around at this time?
Is she around at this time? She's in the room doing something else.
Oh, okay. Has she listened to this program specifically in the past, or?
No.
Okay. Would you mind if we asked your wife some questions?
Well, she's busy right now handling business.
Oh, okay.
But I will bring her back to the show if that's what you want to do. But anyway, no, it's just.
You said you would ask her if she'd like to participate in the program in the future.
I'll set it up and I'll call you back and we can have be glad to do that. But
okay.
I feel that
I'm not just for clarification, I'm not Gus. You can email him, however, at untiljustice@gmail.com if you wanted to set something like that up in the future.
All right. Okay. Well, and that's like I have to go join and get some business done. But like I said, it's nice chatting. But we are. Me personally, I don't think that we need to go out there and cry victim. There's opportunity out there. I'm not, and as long as I have opportunity, that's all I want from any white person. And as long as I have opportunity, I'm going to go out there and make it. That's all I want. I don't need anything else. No handouts, no nothing. So, thanks, everyone.
Okay. Gus?
It was interesting, to say the least.
Is Gus there?
Maybe
I don't know. Blog Talk, sometimes that happens where the host may be ejected from the program, especially when you're handing out constructive information. I had to raise that.
Can I be heard?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you can.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. Darn, I wanted to ask him a quick question I just wanted him to verify that he said 80% of the black males who are in sexual relationships with white people, they defend white people in discussions of race. I just wanted to make sure that my ears were not deceiving me, that is what he said. Did you all hear him say that?
I did.
Okay. Yes, I hope he emails me. I would love to make that a program if he can get his white sexual partner on the show. Thank you for the pitch, back of the bus. I hope that happens.
We'll see.
Whoever asked him. Who asked him?
That was Thomas.
That was Thomas gets an A+ for the day. That
yes,
provided an incredible live demonstration of why the compensatory sex pledge is on the front page. You got an extraordinary example of what happens when you engage in sexual intercourse with a white person, and I'm saying hands down, this is the effect I've observed every single time without fail. That is the result. And he thought he was not defending white people. That was the crazy. Oof. Man, oh man. Man, A+ for Thomas. A+ for Thomas. Golf clap. Thank you.
If you listen to how he was so defensive, because I remember hearing Dr. Francis C.O.W.S say a while back about that, the attitudes and, of those of us who are non-white and how we get so defensive, and if you go and question them, you'll find out that possibly they're involved with someone who is non-white. because they're the ones that's so upfront and so defensive. And he was coming out defensive. I mean, that thought ran through my mind, but Thomas was the first one to ask the question, because that's the only thing that could pop in my head. It's like he must be involved with somebody who was white.
Well, Gus, there's something funny I wanted to read to you about John Henryism. John Henryism is based on the African-American folk hero John Henry. It is recognized as a style of strong coping behaviors used to deal with physical disorders in their mind and to deal with minor racism.
Minor. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Wow.
Minor.
I only got a minor gunshot wound to the head.
Minor race.
What's wrong? Just a little racism keeping you down. Just a little bit.
Where is this at? Where did you read that from?
Wikipedia.
Are you kidding me? I'm gonna have to go get that.
Well, and let me tell you how the racist white supremacists have been busy. Remember the story about Sophia Stewart? Remember where Dr. Joy DeGruy was on there?
Yes, sir.
All right, she had a whole section, devoted to her in Wikipedia. How about they took her out of Wikipedia?
They took her off Wikipedia?
Yes, Sophia Stewart was taken off Wikipedia.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
How long ago? Do you know?
It's been a couple months. It's been when she won, because when all that everything was getting out there that she potentially won the case, it was happening probably in November. And that's around time when she just reportedly had probably come to a conclusion on the case, and they took her right out of Wikipedia, and they took her book on Amazon and said we don't know when her book is going to be available ever.
Dang.
And this is
yes, sir. Sophia Stewart, the woman who wrote the book called The Third Eye, that was the manuscript for The Matrix, The Terminator.
Oh.
And according to Joy DeGruy, she's about to get broke off about $2.5 billion.
Good for her.
And Joy DeGruy still hasn't even, because I want to see that, because Holub kind of debunked it, and I was disappointed because I wanted that to be true. You know what I mean? That's one of the very few things I see on the internet that I'll disseminate, and I really wanted it to be true, and he debunked it, but according to Joy DeGruy, it's actually true. So I hope she would get back to me, but I know she's busy, but she hasn't given me the article that she has on it.
Shoot her an email again. She'll get back at you, I'm sure. I had to email her a couple times to get her on the show. Just hit her again. Hit her again, a reminder.
Okay.
We had another caller just joined the line. Caller, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Did you have any questions or comments that you wanted to add on the program?
Just want to say that great illustration with the last caller that was on. I'm still learning, so that's it.
Me too. Still learning. Wow, that's crazy. They took her page. I guess they didn't want her to have too many blatant examples of a non-white person who proved white people were mistreating her and stealing her work. That's crazy. I believe several folks had said I should try and get her on the program. I will see if we can make that happen. That would be constructive. Wow. Yeah, that was both of the callers was very. Chad, are you still there, Mr. Chad in Atlanta? I see the number there. 111. Are you there? I thought that was Chad in Atlanta. Are you still there? Okay. Oh well. Dang, I still see his number on the switchboard. Yeah, that was fabulous. That was a fabulous demonstration, I think. I had said when I first started at Blog Talk Radio, I wanted to ask every guest on the program if they're engaged in a sexual relationship with a white person or a non-white person, because I feel it's that important. Like that little piece of information can reveal a lot about why certain things are being said, why the conversation is going the direction it is. That one question, once you get that bit of information, added so much clarity to everything Brother K shared with us. And I'm not judging him. He is a victim just like me. But it really, things became crystal clear once we got that bit of information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, he's also a self-proclaimed, I guess, considered conservative, whatever that means. You know, it's a very fuzzy definition. You know, what are you conserving, first of all? So he's on a show with I think he comes on with African American political pundits. It's kind of a zoo over there. So, you know.
Watch that, referencing non-white people as a zoo. Watch that. We want to break out of that if we can.
Yeah. Well, the level of discourse is, I should say, is zoo-like and very not productive or constructive. I'll put it that way.
Wow. Yeah, that was right interesting, and that I'm so glad that happened. That provided a beautiful illustration. I recall, that's why I said I hate the chat room. I hate the chat room. When Nancy Krieger was on the program, I felt she shared a lot of constructive information. She is not the best public speaker. She does not sound like Kim Wise or even Gus T Renegade. She does not have the best speaking voice. She was not as helpful as she could have been. I totally concede that. She could have been much more helpful in the way she shared information. She even admitted at the beginning of the program that a lot of times information is lost because people do not communicate in a way so that everyone can understand what's being said. Even conceding all that, she shared a ton of constructive information, and people were missing it. I know there was some complaining in the chat room, and I think that influenced how other people were seeing it. But I know there were, I think, 2 of them on this phone who said they listened to that program the second time, and bang, it became crystal clear she was sharing constructive information. I think the chat room may have played a role in why people didn't get it. I could be incorrect, but I'm so glad I was able to use what Dr. Nancy Krieger shared to further illustrate the caller a little bit confused, and nail in the coffin, the white wife, the white woman, heavyweight damage. I definitely want to get that, though. Any of the people who were here who heard Dr. Krieger, can anybody co-sign on that she did have great information to share when she was on the program?
Yeah, this is 253. She it was very informative. I know I learned a lot, and that was very accurate. I know the first time around, and because of the way she spoke, I felt like it was monotone and kind of very very fast. So I know the second time around, I was able to absorb a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying she couldn't have done a better job, but I think she did have a ton of information. The John Henryism, that was the first time I'd heard of that, was when she broke that down on the program. She mentioned the term in her article, but she didn't explain it, so I heard it live time when everybody else did, and I use that today. Yeah, but whatever. Did anybody else have thoughts that they wanted to share? I know we got one extra person we just picked up. Hakima joined us. Did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share on the dialogue that you heard, or anything new? You want to promote your show? Anything?
I just wanted to say something about working hard and the fact that I forgot his name. What's his name?
Brother K.
Is he still online or?
No, he hung up.
Oh, I work hard. I'm a college student. I still get mistreated. Obama's president, he's still being mistreated. So, that's all I got to say with that.
Absolutely correct, unfortunately. I think a lot of the people on this line can say that they work very hard and are still victims of racism, white supremacy.
Hey, Gus, whenever Tim Wise, you said he's supposed to be coming on the 20, when is the date?
The 29th.
Okay.
He contacted me today, and he said that he's going to India that week, but he should be back, and we might need to make it later in the day, which is fine. So, yeah, it's looking like the 29th. We're just trying to get firm on the time, but, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to having him back on the program. Maybe even chat about some of the things that came up on the program today, but it should be the 29th of this month, which is a Friday.
Okay.
And what was the lady's name that you just mentioned that was on your show? That Gus?
Dr. Nancy Krieger. She was on the November 1st program. Dr. Nancy Krieger. She's a white woman. I mean, what do you know? She's a white woman and a professor at Harvard. Specifically, she's a professor at Harvard School of Public Health. She's been doing research on racism and health for over 20 years. And she's at Harvard. I mean, she's an expert in that particular category, and I think she shared a lot of helpful information. November 1st, that was when the program aired.
Gotcha. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Yeah. I think Hakima also, that's an area of her interest, racism and health, the impact it has on the health of non-white people. She has her whole Ning set up, Rising Phoenix Network. Can you give an address for it, please?
It's Rising Phoenix Health Network at Ning.com.
Gotcha.
Oh, man, I can see.
I'm just curious, out of the folks. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, she said it so quickly. I'm sorry, I didn't write it down fast enough. I apologize.
It's Rising Phoenix Health Network.
Okay.
.Ning, N-I-N-G. .com.
Okay. I think I got it. If I written it down wrong, I'll make sure I get to Gus, and then he'll probably just email it to me. But thank you.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is James. Usually you see me as James365.
Okay, I see your friend invitation, so it's on the website is linked on through Blog Talk too. So.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, saved as a favorite. Yeah. Man, okay. Well, Gus, once again, a very constructive program. Like I said, when Tim Wise comes on, I have a very, very interesting proposition, and I want to see what his response is. I won't say what it is right now, but it's going to be a very interesting proposition, and we'll see if he's going to show his true colors on the program. So, like I said, I've revealed it to one other person. They won't say anything either. So, it'll be very, very interesting, to say the least, to see what happens, what the result is.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope that'll be a blast. Justice even emailed me yesterday and said she's looking forward to Tim Wise. Everybody is excited to have Tim Wise come back. Or not everybody. I will at least share this view so that it's out so that more people can think about this. Just, to ponder on. I spoke with Dr. Welsing last week. This is the show that never happened. I spoke with her and she said that she didn't think it would be a good idea to have Tim Wise on the show, particularly since he's been here more than once, to continue to have him on the show because confused non-white people who, are not suspicious of him or, haven't heard of him before, they could keep seeing him and think, oh, this guy's coming on the show. He's really working against racism. They could be duped and not be suspicious of him. Do you all think that's a legitimate concern, and do you think that would warrant maybe not having him on the show?
I think it's constructive. It's always constructive to have a white person that come on and listen to them talk, and somewhere, somehow, if you just listen long enough, they will expose themselves. Some will be fairly blatant. Like any conversation a white person is having, I want to hear it, and I want to see exactly how they try to use nuance and certain words to try to confuse people. But if you really listen what their intentions are, it's very constructive. So.
Yeah, I think we should. I think you should have him on, because something about what he's saying is going to switch up. Like Thomas said, we're going to see his true colors. I mean, we actually have a good understanding of really what he's about, I believe. However, I think that other people, if they listen long enough and pay attention very closely, they'll start to understand that, he's not on the level, meaning he's not being completely honest and very clear about fighting against white supremacy racism. So.
We know he makes a great living at what he does, though.
Of course. Of course.
Tons of accolades for it, so, yeah.
Of course. I mean, look at, like I was saying yesterday in a conversation with Cree and Gus, and I think Back of the Bus was on there too. They take from us and they use it to their benefit. And usually when they use it to their benefit, they usually make some good money off of it. So I'm not surprised. They've done this for so long. It's like part of their nature. I'm saying that. It seems like it's part of their nature to do that. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I will be here. Matter of fact, Gus.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know you're going to probably give him. I will be one of the first people on the line, because like I said, I really want to make sure that there is no equivocation, that he will either give a yes or a no to what I will ask him and make a commitment and a date and time. So.
Okay. Well, I can't make him, answer, or I can't make him do anything. I can't make anyone do anything. But yeah, I will definitely make sure you get your opportunity if things happen as they should to ask your question. And yeah, I have a few questions of my own. I'm looking forward to asking. Did anybody else have of the other folks on the line? I know Hakeem is there. Non-Mighty Wick, Back of the Bus, any of the other folks that are on the line, did you all have a view on whether or not you think it might be counterproductive to have the admitted racist known as Tim Wise on yet another program here at the C.O.W.S?
Yeah, I do, because I used to be bamboozled by him, too. And the fact that you question him made you look at him different.
You became a little more suspicious of him after he was on. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And just, suspicious of, white people who say they are, in anti-racist work. Really question what they do.
I think that's constructive. If that is the result, if more people listen to the program and leave, do you think the average non-white person who listens to the program, do you think at the conclusion of the broadcast at Tim Wise, where he was on the C.O.W.S, do you think the average non-white person who hears that show would leave thinking, I'm going to be a little more suspicious of Tim Wise and maybe even white people in general, or do you think they would leave and think, Tim Wise is a great guy. I'm going to buy his book. I'm a fan of Tim Wise.
Probably, yeah.
Probably which one? They would be thinking I'm a fan of Tim Wise, or that I'm going to be a little more suspicious of him?
More suspicious.
More suspicious. Okay. Yeah, if most of the non-white, or if the average non-white person listens to the program with Tim Wise and that's their conclusion, I would say that's constructive work. Even if it was 40%, I would take that. Since we're in a system of white supremacy, he's supposed to win. White always wins. Even if 40% of the non-white listeners left saying, I'm going to be more suspicious of Tim Wise and maybe even white people in general, I would take that. I'd say that's constructive. Yeah, that would be my view. I don't know. You all can share your views. A lot of people on the line.
Hey, I have one interesting factoid about him, and this is from his own website. And I want people to take this for what you will. He has spoken at over 400 college campuses. 400. I would venture to say, with the little bit I know about public speaking, and I may be wrong, someone who speaks at that level probably commands appearance fee of probably anywhere on the low end of $2,500 to maybe upwards of $5,000. And if he's a white person, it's probably closer to $10,000. So I just want people to be aware of that. So I think that's a very interesting, very important factor that people need to know and understand if you have not heard of this person and if you have not seen him before.
I was thinking closer to 10, actually. The 10,000 side, but I could, maybe that would be a good question, just to get what is the ballpark fee for getting Tim Wise to come and chat about racism, white supremacy, and we can ask him that on the program. I think that's important information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also wanted to share an update. Did I interrupt anyone? Yes, no. Okay. I got an update. Dr. Eddie Moore Jr., he contacted me today, and he said he has, in his words, he got me for the White Privilege Conference. The admitted racist known as John Delport said he was taking care of my transportation. Dr. Moore has me for the conference, so I should be taken care of, having a spiffy hotel room to hang out and cover the White Privilege Conference in April. I'm very much looking forward to doing some programs from there to, share my observations on what's going down. Also, Dr. Moore said that, or he wrote a dissertation on black college athletes at predominantly white institutions. He did a dissertation on that. I am real eager to get my hands on the dissertation. He said he would get me a copy. Once I am able to check it out, might ask him to come back on the program and share. So I'll let you all know what I get once I get it in my hands, what his dissertation is about. But I'm real eager to see what his conclusion is, what his research showed. So that was my update on Dr. Eddie Moore Jr.
Speaking of which, there was a young man in Indiana who died on the basketball court, probably of John Harrianism. He literally died on the basketball court. Now his family has, the school probably will give his family nothing for his efforts. He provided entertainment for the university, and he doesn't have the prospects of a burgeoning career outside of college because of his untimely demise. So, that's a very interesting topic. I would like to see that dissertation and how they feel about compensation for these student athletes.
Anyone else have a thought on that? I'm just curious.
No. I'm I didn't know there was a such thing as a white privilege conference. So this is new to me. I didn't think there was. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised because usually they meet to plan all other types of stuff against us. So I'm surprised that they have a conference for themselves on white privilege. So. Security?
You said, is there security? Is that what you said?
Security.
I have never been. I don't know what's there. I don't know what they do. I have no idea. I've never been. I'm trying to go to the one in April, but I have never been. Dr. Eddie Moore, he was on the show in May, and he talked about the white privilege conference on the show. So, if you haven't heard that one, I guess you could check that out and see, get more information about it. But I've never been.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure you get there safe and get back safe.
I hope so too. That's
yeah, I will be coming too. So I live in Wisconsin, so I will be going too myself. So
okay.
Hopefully we will both make it in safely and have lots of good things to report. I'm very excited about getting down there to check it out. It should be a good time. Maybe Tim Wise and some other people who've been on the show, maybe they'll be there. We can chat in person. That'll be fun.
So have you, Gus, this might be a good opportunity to go down with some proposals for compensatory investment requests. What say you?
You are correct. You are correct. Yeah, should be lots of white people who are interested in helping.
And you can be like a war correspondent, just like the people in Afghanistan or Iraq, and you're embedded. So that way you can, maybe I wish you could that, if you had that MacBook Pro, you could do like a live podcast from there, with some visual to show the white people as they talk about their plans. That would be quite constructive and very interesting.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do some live programs. I hope it can work out. We can do. I know Dr. Moore had said back when I spoke with him in May, he said he would be interested in facilitating getting the, I don't know what guests that he's going to have at the conference, but getting the white guests who are at the conference to come and chat with Gus on the show. So hopefully all that will go down. I'm going to try to be as productive as possible.
Absolutely. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I had actually forgot that Cynthia McKinney was on this program. I suspect quite a few people might eventually listen to this show since Cynthia McKinney was here. Might be a good time if you all want to share a view or suggestion that you have on racism, white supremacy. A good number of people might end up hearing this program. If you all want to take turns and share a suggestion or observation that you have about racism, white supremacy, you should take this opportunity to do so, because I strongly suspect quite a few people will end up hearing this show. So you have a significant audience right now. You should take advantage.
Always question. Always question. Have some very clear questions and work to get as much clarity as possible when you're talking to someone who is non-white or someone who is classified as white. That's my suggestion.
I would say the same thing. Always question and really pay attention to words they speak. Really pay attention to that. You're a non-white person too.
You said non-white people too?
Yeah.
Okay. Pay attention to their words too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For sure. I would agree.
Anybody?
What's up, guys?
I was just encouraging more folks to share their suggestions or comments. I'm sorry for interrupting.
For sure. Oh, no worries. I think you made an excellent example of the two suggestions already brought forward. I'd also suggest to non-white people to suspect all white people could be racist, white supremacists.
Anybody else? Suggestions, comments?
This is Thomas. I would agree. Be suspicious of anyone amongst the white collective that classifies themselves as white, and then also do not participate in any activities not constructive to your own personal benefit when in the context of dealing with those in the white collective, i.e. Drinking and debauchery.
I agree. I'm snickering for other reasons, but I think that's an excellent suggestion. I agree wholeheartedly.
I would suggest, this is non-mighty Wick, just when you're talking with people, whether it's older, younger, whoever, get in the habit of just to get really, if you kind of new to understanding about racism, white supremacy, or even if you've been there or been studying for a while, but get in the habit of asking people what their ultimate objective is when you're dealing with them. For your own benefit or even in personal interactions for business or otherwise. But a goal would be to try to find an ultimate objective more worthy than you may have been taught, financial or otherwise, but aspire higher, set huge goals. And a good one is replacing the entire system of white supremacy with a better one. And justice is, don't get much better than that right now.
Well, the person that was just on the line, non-mighty Wick, did you want to share your thought about the importance of non-white people understanding that racism, white supremacy is the base, the foundation for everything, all areas of people activity? No pressure if you don't want to.
Let me collect my thoughts on it here for a second. Okay. The idea of white supremacy, or kind of what Gus was referring to, the way I look at it is simply, it's an idea that this has been used, functions as a base idea, meaning in all areas of people activity, economics, education, sex, war, all of them, you have white supremacy as the core idea for everything that's being thought of. And so keeping that in mind, everything you do has to be geared to, at least in your mind, to work against that idea of white supremacy, because if not, all the other ideas would just be going along with that base idea, which is white supremacy. That's the simple.
For the caller earlier in the program from Atlanta, I believe the name was Chad. I could be incorrect. I would also suggest to expect mistreatment, and because of that, to modify your behavior to minimize contact to the times that it is needed, where it is needed. just in an attempt to mitigate the mistreatment.
You know what? There's I find that interesting because I used to listen to this white gentleman out of Atlanta, Georgia, isn't it, by the name of, and he was like on Air America, and he said on his show, and I heard him say this a few times, that he's a white man, and he says that all white people are racist. This is what he said on his show, and he's out of Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm surprised he don't get that show down there in Atlanta, and I'm all the way up in here in Omaha, Nebraska. But this white man did say this on the air, and he said it live, that all white people are racist and that he himself is battling every day not to be racist.
I wonder, how is that a battle? I mean, why is it... I mean, why is it hard not to mistreat people? I don't get why white people say
that. The best explanation I can give for that is that when you are, I guess, if I could say program, if that would make any sense, if that was a very clear word to use. Programmed or conditioned or see people of non-white that are inferior to you, and you've been like that for so many years, and you see how privileged you are to be white. They see it as, well, I get so many perks if I'm being white. Why should I stop doing this now, even though I see it as wrong, when I get so many perks and I can go further being someone who is white? So I think it's that internal psychological struggle, because I believe white supremacy is not just psychological. I mean, just conscious, I believe, is subconscious. I believe it's on both levels. And they just constantly trying to do good. I don't know if that's for a fact now. Don't hang on every word I'm saying, because I could be wrong. And they feel that that's a struggle to battle against what they are thinking, acting, and speaking. But, you know, like I'm saying, it's my thought. I could be wrong, because I'm not white, so I can't really give you a deep, real explanation, but I'm just giving a suggestion. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. I'll keep that question open for a white person to ask.
Excellent question.
I know if they say that too.
And you know, if you look at Dr. Wilson, you might have to, if you look up on YouTube her interview on Donahue, that is a very constructive. Yeah, very constructive. You should watch that. It's very dated. It probably goes back to about 85, 86. Very, very constructive interview that she had on the Donahue show, live in the Lions Den, where it was predominantly a white audience. So very interesting to watch. And the part of her definition she uses for racism and white supremacy is the subconscious or conscious part of it. I think that's very key. And like kind of like with Gus, I don't like to use a big word, but they suffer from what is known as cognitive dissonance, and I'll explain. Meaning that they may have two different ideas in their mind that conflict with each other. For instance, they may look at Michael Jordan and they may look at Tiger Woods and say, wow, they're spectacular at their sport, at the top of the game, but at the same time say, wow, those are some really good porch monkeys. So they have a conflict that is stuck within their minds, and so therefore, when they talk of that said battle, I think that kind of goes in line with what Dr. Wilson said. I may be wrong, but I think that's kind of with the fighters, because it's something that's, that, like you said, is inbred within them. So.
I think white people more, at least the ones that practice white supremacy, look at that and say, well, those are those porch monkeys we let get to the top of the game. I think that flows well with their thought pattern. Not much conflict there. I think Jane Elliott put it kind of well the other day, talking about when she's watching football or something. So, yeah.
Any other thoughts, comments, or suggestions? Again, you got to keep that in mind. Lots of people will probably end up hearing this broadcast with Cynthia McKinney. So if you have any, suggestions, thoughts, theories, next Dr. Welsing theory coming through from someone on the phone, this would be a time you have a significant audience. Strong suspect quite a few people will end up hearing this program. So, if you would like to share with some victims, get a word out, this would be a good chance. While you all are thinking, I will at least share one. Patience. I know, I think several folks have called the program and said, I'm patient in dealing with these white people on the program, and I do make an effort to be patient with them. And even non-white people. I think I displayed a little bit of patience today with some of the folks that called in. We rave about The Godfather. I watched the second Godfather over the weekend, and a thing that stood out to me, Michael Corleone, and even his dad, Vito Corleone, very patient individuals. If you watch the second Godfather, Michael Corleone, he's trying to get the gaming license. The senator is insulting him, insults his whole family. He's calling them names and cursing at them, and I don't like your, he's talking to him like he's not even white. So I don't like your kind, I don't like your people, just, totally being extremely discourteous. Michael Corleone is not jumping up and down, not calling him names. He barely blinks an eye. He lets him finish, and okay, not getting what I want, no problem. Moving forward, making alternate plans. Doesn't raise his voice. He's not yelling and cursing. Smooth all the way. And I mean, that's a trend you see in The Godfather, which I hear tons of black people say they love. Vito, same thing with Vito Corleone. Very patient man. Even before he is the Don, when he's being mistreated and struggling trying to get things together, not jumping up and down when he's being mistreated or what have you, just thinking of how he is going to make his next constructive move. That's what they're doing. That I think is extremely codified. Just thinking, what's the best thing to do? What's going to work out best for the Corleone family? I think if we had more non-white people who really stopped and strategized about what would be best for me as a victim of white supremacy, what would be best, what would be the best thing that I could do to work against the system of racism, white supremacy. And sometimes it's avoiding conflict. You even see that in The Godfather. In the first one, Vito Corleone, avoid conflict. I have a meeting with the Five family. Maybe I'm not, maybe this isn't the ideal situation in terms of what I would like to do, but at this time it's in my best interest to avoid conflict. So I'll go have this meeting. That's even a strategy you see displayed in The Godfather. I wish more non-white people would think and strategize in that manner about how they want to deal with racism, white supremacy, as opposed to just kind of flying off the handle and not really thinking things out in terms of what they want to do, particularly with the use of words, too. Just throwing words around when you talk about racism. The first caller that called in, I believe that was Chad in Atlanta, I asked him what he meant when he said racism, and he listed examples. He didn't have a specific definition, and I pointed that out repeatedly in saying that I do not think that that is a correct way to go in dealing with words. You should have a definition, not an example of what a word means. But that would be my 2 cents. Strategy is very important and requires thought, detailed thought before you act. I wish non-white people, victims of white supremacy, would become much, much better at developing strategy for dealing with white supremacy.
Yeah. I would agree. It should be, that's how we should study it. Emotional.
I agree as well. I think another codified thing to do is to, really try to pay attention to how you're using your time with white people. Well, really with anybody. We want to be making sure, I think Thomas said, having constructive activity going on when you're doing things, but especially with white people. Really try not to let them waste your time. I've noticed that they're, experts at that too. I think that's one of the ways that they practice racism, is to see how much time of yours they can gobble up. And so, if it's not constructive, move on to the next constructive activity and, keep that focus.
Right. And that's what I noticed. Me and Thomas, I think, were on a show, trying to think of the name of the young lady that hosts the show out of California. Miss America, 1974. And there was a white gentleman on there who was trying to say that there was no racism or something. And he was going so much off track. So me and Thomas were starting to ask questions. There was a point where, there was many points where he wasn't as clear. So you're right. Don't let them waste your time. Try to get to the point as clearly and as, I think, as quick as possible, instead of, especially when you're questioning somebody, because sometimes people don't give a straight answer, and you don't want to try to press them, but however you want them to be as clear as possible in giving you an answer so that you can move on to the next question or get to the answer or get to the end of the conversation. So not letting them waste your time is a good suggestion. It's right. Right. So.
Mm-hmm. I do want to point this out. I think William Pepper shared that when you are bombarded with inaccurate information, it takes a deniggerization, a deprogramming process to actually get back to where you can recognize the correct information. So I want to do my part for that. I know someone had mentioned on a previous show that Wyclef had set up a charity, was trying to get funds and help for people in Haiti, and he had been accused of, I guess, doing something incorrect with his nonprofit organization. CNN is reporting that experts on nonprofits, that's what they say, so I suspect this is white people, said that they did not find any serious wrongdoing except a lapse of discipline in filing his tax forms. That's it. They said the only thing they found was that he had filed his taxes late for the nonprofit, but other than that, nothing incorrect done on Wyclef Jean's part with his nonprofits. So I want to make sure I get that out because I had seen several reports where they had alleged he had done something incorrect, and it seems that other than late taxes, that was not true.
Right.
Pitiful, 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 pitiful. attack. I think Akima had said something about that they do tend to attack non-white people who are trying to help other non-white people. I know the author of Acts of Faith, I can't pronounce her name correctly, but you typically cite her as an example of a non-white person who attempted to help other non-white people, and white people took away her ability to help.
Right. And Les Brown is richer than she is because he mostly helps white people. And he said this on the Tavis Smiley convention, Covenant with Black People. Huh?
It was called the State of the Union.
Yeah. And he actually came out and said the reason why he's rich and makes a lot of money is because he helps white people.
Wow. I dig the honesty. I wish more non-white people, we could at least get to that point. Just tell the truth about the system of racism, white supremacy, and our spot in it. I wholeheartedly appreciate that.
Hey, Gus, let me ask you this question. Because you have Dr. Francis Cress-Wells on your show. Have you ever tried to get in contact with Dr. Naeem Akbar?
Yes. I contacted him over the summer. He said he had been bombarded with interview requests and wouldn't be available until later this year. So the time frame that he gave me is after August 5th. So if I have my MacBook Pro, I will contact him at that time and see if we can get him on the show. If I don't, I don't know. Akima has her show. You can ask her to get him on her program.
Right. Because the reason I was asking... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude. Please continue.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the reason why is because that's the first person I ever heard say racism, white supremacy. And that was a couple years ago when I got his book. I was reading one of his books a few years ago. And when I seen that in his writings, I was like, wow. You know what? That makes sense. So.
I agree. I think he'd be a great guest. Hakima, did you have a thought?
No.
Yes, you did.
Huh?
I said yes, you did.
Well, I said he's on my list of doing an interview when I'm ready to do interviews.
Oh, there you go.
So he will be on the list.
Yeah. So if I don't have my MacBook Pro, there you go. Make sure you badger Hakima so that she gets that done and gets him on her program so he can discuss racism, white supremacy. I'm gonna make sure I get out, check the blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com, Back of the Bus's blog, nonwhitealliance.wordpress.com. And you can hit Crease as well, crease7.wordpress.com. Check them out, constructive information. Cows should be back on Sunday. Dr. Daniel Kevels sharing information on eugenics. Should be constructive, I hope so. Very much looking forward to having him on the program. This is Liam Sheff paying off. Imagine that. I found Dr. Kevels' information on his blog, and I'm still making Mr. Sheff pay off. I told you, white people are informed, even the ones that I suspect practice racism, white supremacy tend to be very well informed. So hopefully Dr. Kevels will share good stuff with us over the weekend. And cows, context of white supremacy. Crazy. I never imagined that I would have Cynthia McKinney on a program, and then by the time the end of the show came, I forgot that she was actually on the same program. But Cynthia McKinney was on the show. Hope everybody was able to catch that. Pretty cool to have her on the program. Hopefully we can get her back so she can stay a little longer and answer questions next time. Got 2 minutes. Anybody have any final thoughts? We have about 2 minutes and 30 seconds before the program ends. Any final thoughts?
White supremacy to justice.
Anyone else? I second that. Anyone else?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the broadcast. Short notice. Just spoke with Ms. McKinney really quick and was able to make it happen. Third time was the charm. As I said, we'll be back over the weekend. Definitely pay attention to those words, and I hope this program, if nothing else, another illustration of the damage that happens when non-white people engage in sexual intercourse with white people. It causes total confusion, specifically with regards to being honest about racism, white supremacy, which frequently manifests itself in a non-white person defending white people, which I think was demonstrated on the program.